Alright, welcome back to another multiplayer cast. Now I just did a live recording of this, but my OBS crashed and so I lost the recording. So I'm going to show this as a replay and then we'll get back to the standard format. So we're playing as Dark Elves now. Got Lokhir, Fellheart as my lord. Front line is going to be Dread Spears. I got the Hellbrane Dread Spears as regiments for renowned troop. Bleak Swords behind them. Dark Shards with shields behind them. Hargoneth Executioners in case there's any kind of elite infantry that shows up. Bolt Fiends to shoot down some of the shields of Lothern Sea Guard and things like that. Reaper Bolt Thrower in case they've got some kind of heavy cavalry, Silver Helms or something. And just a smaller squad of the same troops over here on the right flank to take point one. For my opponent, they are playing as the High Elves. They got Imrik on horseback. They have got a Lore Master of Hoeth, Spearmen up front, Lothern Sea Guard behind them. Silver Guard in the back, and then archers mixed in. On the side flank, archers and sword masters of Hoeth. So let's get into this. I'm going to fast forward a little bit on the approach. Now I'm switching to the split shot with the Reaper Bolt Throwers because I see a lot of infantry on the opponent's side. And as soon as this match started, my first thought was, does it make sense for me to try to run down the Lore Master of Hoeth with Lokhir? And I figured my combat stats were about as good, if not better. He does have the armor piercing, but better weapon damage, and I think Lokhir has some abilities that give him the edge. So that was one of the first things I was thinking about, and I really just wanted to rush on to point 2 and make sure I was holding that. I almost went for points 1 and 3 because of the High Elves' firepower, but I brought a good amount of Dark Shards and my Reaper Bolt Throwers and whatnot, so I felt somewhat comfortable taking the missile engagement in the middle. So we got Dread Spears lining up against Spearmen. Lore Master of Hoeth coming in, jumping on top of the Hellbrane, and that was perfect for me instead of him going on this side because they're going to decrease his combat stats. So when I saw that, I was like, alright, this is probably a decent matchup for Lokhir. That's where we'll send him. You can see the Bolt Fiends are getting shot down by their archers pretty quickly. They've already taken a good amount of damage, but here goes Lokhir. I set up the Bleak Swords over here on the ramp just to screen. Did not see any threats over here going towards point 1, so kind of just sitting there seeing what goes on and trying to control my troops in the middle. You can see the Reaper Bolt Thrower using the split shot, shooting into the Lothern Sea Guard, and I brought on my Sorceress of Fire. And so she's got Cascading Fire Cloak, so she can buff up some of my troops in combat. Actually missed this. I didn't even see that bombardment come down on the Bolt Fiends. She's also got Flamestorm. I figured Flamestorm was going to be good against a lot of the different type of infantry that the High Elves bring. I don't believe they have any super high armor troops, so I figured the lack of armor piercing on it wouldn't be a problem. And if there was blobs of spears or something like that, I could clear them out with that. So, you know, normally I'd bring Burning Head or Fireball or something like that, but I'm trying to keep a good mix of what type of spells I bring, regardless of the lore. You can see the Lore Master of Hoeth is going down pretty quickly. He's getting chewed up by Lokhir, and really I wanted to try to take down his magic, because the High Elves usually have pretty good magic, and if I was able to shut that down, I wanted to do so. Sword Masters of Hoeth coming downhill against the Bleak Swords, so I'm going to send Lokhir over there to help them out. And the Bleak Swords are just going to get smashed by these guys. Armor piercing, anti-infantry, and so that's a tough situation there. On the bright side, I brought Dark Riders off on the flank when I saw the Sword Masters committing. So I got Dark Riders coming down on a rear charge, and I got another squad disrupting the archer fire. So Dragon Princes and Imrik had come over this way. I brought spears to kind of keep them away from the Dark Shards. A little bit of mismanagement, or maybe a whole lot of mismanagement on them over here. So they're getting charged by the cavalry, and they're going to get beat up pretty bad. But I believe I end up getting the Dread Spears downhill. I put the Bleak Swords up in the woods over here in case the cavalry came after them. They wouldn't take as much charge damage from the woods slowing the heavy units down or the large units down. Major fire jumping into my Dark Shards. But luckily, Lokhir Fellheart, you see I got Foe Seeker pop, so he's going to run out of energy slower. And I believe I popped some other buffs on him at some point during this combat. Bolt Fiends just shooting in at the Lore Master and some of the Silver Guard. You can see he's got Lyrian Reaver Archers coming over here to deal with my Dark Riders. I did pull one squad of the Dark Riders off of the Sword Masters and ran them over to help out with clearing out the archers. Rear charge coming from the Dragon Princes. I was pretty worried. It looked like Imrik was going to jump on top of my sorcerers, but he started going after the Reaper Bolt Throwers. Luckily for me, I just brought on some elite infantry, Blackguard and Nagaron, and the Witch Elves. I wanted the Blackguard in case they were able to help out against the Dragon Princes and Imrik, and I wanted the Witch Elves because I was looking around the field and I was like, okay, he's got a lot of Silver Guard and Spearmen and things like that. I think if I can shut down some of the archer play, which I had already done up on this hillside, the Witch Elves could shine pretty well in that situation. So the battle is for point 2 at this point. Everybody's around there. And right now I'm watching Lokhir and I'm trying to keep an eye on what's going on with him and Imrik. I don't want him to get beat up by Imrik. I'm not sure how Imrik performs in combat against a infantry-sized troop, but I know he's got good combat stats in general. So originally I had the Witch Elves coming around here to deal with the Sword Masters and the Blackguard coming to sit on the point to try to get some capture weight on there as a defensive unit. But I realized this guy's on horseback, so let's send the Blackguard over here. They'll help protect Lokhir in case he targets him hard. And then we'll send the Witch Elves in and just get them fighting against some infantry. Major fire coming up this way, seemingly going after my sorceress. And Imrik is backing off. Illyrian Reaver archers are charging down, but I'm okay with that because I got the Blackguard here. Trying to bring the Hargoneth Executioners and the Blue Swords into the middle. They're actually going to be chasing after the Major fire. And now this mage is going to get swamped and just crushed because I brought a Manticore to try to come after some of their characters and just use that mobility of the Manticore to help out there. And Lokhir is getting on her too. I think she's on foot. Yeah, so she's going to get, or he or she, I'm not sure who it is. It's a mage, but they're going to get crushed. And Imrik is just chilling up on the hillside. They still got point 3 under control, but we're still holding 2. They got some beat up archers and Lothern Seaguard in the back still firing in. Unfortunately, the Witch Elves are so lightly armored, they're going to get chewed up by that. I did not have the wherewithal to pull them back after they started chasing those spearmen off. And now he's got a Star Dragon on the field. So right now, I'm trying to keep an eye on point 2. I forgot that you actually have to click on this. I think I was just holding on to this for a long time because this is my first time playing as a Dark Elf, so I wasn't really sure how to use it. Imrik is now getting jumped by the Feral Manticore, Hargoneth Executioners, and Lokhir. And I'm just trying to keep an eye on that and make sure that Lokhir doesn't end up chasing too far because this guy's on horseback. And I have a bad tendency of getting into these Lord duels and then having my guy chase theirs into their back line. And then my guy gets trapped up and beat up pretty bad. So Cold One Knights brought on. I want them to be able to deal with Imrik and with the Star Dragon. Lokhir is starting to get chased down by the Star Dragon, but this is the perfect situation to use these guys. Anti-large, armor piercing, they'll do well against him. Dark Shards, although they fled off, I was about to unsummon them, and then I realized I could start shooting at this big target. They're basically not going to miss too many shots on there. I put Cascading Fire Cloak, and popped all this guy's buffs, so he's got good melee defense, pretty good damage output. Although he's an anti-infantry lord, I figured he'd be able to get some good damage and maybe dodge some of the attacks of the Star Dragon. And the value of this thing is pretty high, so having this amount of units, especially with the Cold One Knights swarming around it and getting mass on it, is really going to be a good trade for me. Bolt Thrower shooting in, I switched back to the single shot with them as well. At least I thought I did. Maybe I didn't. So either way, getting shots off on that thing is going to be nice. Imrik is up here, tied up against the Feral Manticore. This thing is Rampage, so I don't have control over it anyways. And Crows of Cain had been chasing some archers, but they ended up getting beat up by some White Lions and whatnot. Now at this point, I start seeing him capturing this point. And I got my hands full back here. There's just so much going on. Value trading is very close. Units on the field very close. Supplies very close. So just a really tight match. Luckily, because I've been holding point 2 since the beginning, I'm doing good on the victory tickets. But now we got Dread Spears, Dark Shards with shields, and some Harpies coming on. I'm actually bringing my Bleak Swords from point 1 downhill. He wasn't threatening this. I felt like I had some Vanguard units I could fight for it with if I needed to. But right now, I'm just trying to get capture weight back on point 2, make sure I don't lose that. So Imrik is now surrounded. He made the mistake of getting jumped by the Cold One Knights, and Lokhir's in here as well. My Sorceress is still there. And now he's got some elite infantry coming in. So I figured I want to get Harpies on top of the shooting. I want to get Bleak Swords and Dread Spears on the point just to have some capture weight. And then I'll use the Dark Shards to shoot at the Star Dragon if it's going to come back. So now we're definitely on single fire shot. I don't know why it's still showing up as multi-round, but I know as soon as the Dragon Princess came on, I switched this back to single shot. I guess maybe it shows this as an ability because it has the option to switch, but this isn't necessarily reflective of what mode it's on right now. But ran out of ammunition, so on summoning the Reaper Bolt Thrower, Imrik is, I think, dead. Pretty sure I killed him. So at this point, I'm starting to get a little bit of an advantage on the value trading. Still getting some shots on this thing with the Dark Shards. And now he's got elite infantry in here, so my bleak swords are really going to be paying the price. Sword Masters, White Lines of Crace, just need to keep weight on here. So Harpies are going to jump on top of archers and whatnot. Manticore's still doing his thing. Lokhir's pretty healthy. I was really trying to keep an eye on him and make sure that he doesn't end up getting killed, because like I've said many times before, I have a tendency to lose my lords, and then the leadership thing kind of cascades into a snowball of gold value for my opponent. So he had brought some Malarian Reaver archers on the point one and was taking that, but like I said, I had a lot of Vanguard units, so I was somewhat comfortable moving the original squad of Bleak Swords off of that. So I chased them off. I had some other troops on the way, figured I'd squat some Bleak Swords on there since he's shown that he's paying attention to it, and he will go for it if I move off. This is where my Sorcerers of Fire was really paying off. I got a couple of Flame Storms on these infantry blobs, and right here, dropping that on Sword Masters of Hope, who are somewhat armored, but not super heavily, so that did a good amount of damage on them, and really helped out keeping the Bleak Swords in combat. With that, I was able to push back towards the middle and get Lokhir, Dread Spears, Black Guard, Dark Shards with Shields. They're moving up to try to get some flanking shots. I got Dread Spears around the back of the White Lines and whatnot. At some point, I think I even dropped a Cascading Fire Cloak on these guys as they were matched up against some of their infantry, and really just trying to get some utility out of those spells. So Harpies had been fighting against archers. Looks like they chased them off. Lost track of my Manticore over here, but their dragon went down, and still just holding on to point two. So at this point, my opponent does not have his Lord. He actually just re-summoned him, but this match is basically over. I got the value lead. You can see I got ahead in gold value by a lot. I meant to say I had the victory ticket lead, and he just doesn't have the supplies to get battlefield presence back. So I'm going to fast forward to the end. I think he forfeits right there. So anyways, well played to my opponent. It was a fun match. It was very close as far as victory points for the majority of the match until the end. I think when I picked off Imrik and that Star Dragon, things really started to lean in my favor. So take a look at the gold value there. I was really happy to make this guy work, Lokhir Fellheart. So he got pretty good value, 2,000 plus. I have a tendency to not accrue too much value with my Lord picks sometimes. I'm not sure if he is good in this matchup by default or anything, but I felt good about him. Hargonath Executioners were alright. The Bolt Fiends, they got chewed up by their firepower early in the match, and they got hit by a bombardment, so I wasn't too surprised by that. Reaper Bolt Thrower did decent. Good shots on the Dragon Prince and the Star Dragon. Nothing too crazy from the rest of my troops. That one squad of Dark Shards got pretty good points on them, but nothing too crazy from the rest. Blackguard and Nagaron didn't even do that good. I'm not sure what killed them. They might have got matched up against Sword Masters or something like that. Cold One Knights, again, these guys got on top of Imrik. These guys got on top of the Star Dragon. Both of those are really good trades for them. Sisters of Slaughter, I don't think I got them on the field. Sorceress of Fire did decent. I brought her pretty bare bones. I think she only had 2 spells. So I felt good about how I used her. She still had a lot of health, so I could have kept using her abilities had that match drawn on. The Manticore did its job, mostly character gooning, and that's basically it. For my opponent, Imrik, not too much value. You can see he was kind of running around the field trying to find a good target, but wasn't able to. I really didn't have too much large stuff for him to go after regardless. I was pretty infantry heavy there. The Lore Master of Hoeth got crushed by, what's his face, by Lokhir early on, and that's what I was looking to do with that situation. Sword Masters did decent. Nothing too crazy on any of the archers or infantry. One squad of archers got pretty good value. Not sure if they were resummoned or not. Star Dragon did okay. I'm not sure how much that cost. I'm gonna guess around 1,700. I've played as the high elves, but I forget what these guys cost. I don't think I used the dragons too much when I played as them. Major Fire didn't get too much done. Dragon Princess did alright. Nothing too special from the rest of his troops. So anyways, that was a pretty fun matchup. It was nice to have a little thematic start to this in the sense of having Dark Elves versus High Elves as my first match as the Dark Elves. Pretty fast-paced match. I felt like there was a lot going on. I was feeling like I was in a good flow with troop movement and whatnot, and just keeping my lord alive, maintaining unit presence on the points and whatnot, and not letting the archers just have free reign. I have a bad tendency to get shot down by my opponents. Luckily, bringing Dark Riders, bringing Harpies and things like that helped me out. And anyways, well played to my opponent. Thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next one.